Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 17th Annual Disorient Asian American Film Festival of Oregon. My name is Jade Young, and I'm a staff member here at Disorient. For 17 years, Disorient has maintained this platform to celebrate the stories and voices of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. Thank you all for being a part of that mission. Today, it is my pleasure to host this conversation with filmmakers from all 5 of our wonderful shorts in this program, Generational Spirit. From Romantics, we have director and producer Jamie Lam, writer, lead, and producer Jackie Wong. From Mother, a visual poem, we have writer and director Anthony Nguyen and cinematographer Ila Ipes. From Distant Cousins, we have writer, director, and producer Winifred Zhang, lead, aka Trixie, Shelley Hong, and producer Christina Wong. From Evie, we have director, writer, and producer and lead Sandy Roberts, and lead cast member Sky Roberts. From Nai Nai, we have directors Shushu Lin and Minori Uemura. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time to chat with us today about your films. These films are all so unique, but they all somehow explore family dynamics across time and generations, like in different ways. So I'm going to start with a more general question in the spirit of generational spirit. For each of your different films, and I'll go through like each of the different films and you can all sort of answer, what was the specific family relationship or dynamic that you were trying to explore with this film? And why were you drawn to this topic or relationship? Let's start with Romantics. And maybe we could start with Jackie.
Yeah, so Romantics was born out of seeing my parents' absolute lack of any romantic instinct in their life. And yeah, just kind of getting me thinking of what does it mean to show love? What is a normal way to be romantic and to care about another person? And yeah, so that kind of sprouted that conversation in my mind, and we got to explore it in a really fun way in our film. Jamie, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, my parents are the same, which is why Jackie and I felt like we had to do this together. And yeah, just wondering how people can stay together for so long and yet not express love in the way that we as young people kind of see it portrayed in media and film. And yeah, we just wanted to explore that topic together.
Thank you so much. That was a really familiar topic. Let's go on to Distant Cousins. Maybe we can start with Winifred.
Hi, Distant Cousins is a lot about not saying things in families. And so the lead character, Trixie, has found a secret that she discovered later on in life. And she's trying to find her best friends, her cousins that she lost track of. And it's an exploration of communicating between growing up, I think.
Okay. Anything else anyone from Distant Cousins would like to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say when I read the script, the thing that drew me about it is that I totally connected to it because of the fact that, you know, I immigrated when I was 5. And so I just lost most of my family because we were the only ones that moved here. And then also as I get older, even though I crave to be in contact with my family, our language barrier has become another obstacle. So I just like that huge feeling of loss, which isn't something that obviously was out of my control in a way. It really spoke to me coming from that. And even though there are different circumstances, it said a lot to me. And basically that got me out of acting retirement so I could work with Winnie. Yeah.
That feeling really shows through in your film, and we'll get into that more. Let's go on to Evie.
So Evie was inspired by me growing up in a multi-generation family in Manila. And I had a Chinese grandmother and a Filipino Chinese mom. And we were always caretaking for my grandmother. And then also inspired by my daughter, who is also an actress. And so in Evie, there's the mother and the daughter, and it's the struggle of Evie trying to find a balance because women are always caretaking and sacrificing their needs for the family.
Absolutely. All right. And then for Nai.
Hi, Nai is about a relationship between Japanese and Chinese communities. And I went to college in the States, and then before that I was in Japan, and until I came to States, I didn't really notice that the Chinese community had a hatred towards Japanese communities, and it really shocked me. So when we were about to make a film, and I met Shushu, and Shushu was from Chinese communities, and when we were to make a film together, this was a topic that came up to our mind, and there is any other topic we couldn't think of. So yeah. Shushu, do you want to add more to that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, in addition, for like the grandma and the relationship between her and her granddaughter, it kind of felt like a lot of things you don't really tell your grandchildren because it might be about more sensitive topics. So I think in this one, we try to explore a little bit about that connection and communication.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was definitely a really big and important story that I don't see a lot. So maybe let's go now to more specific films or questions to each of the films. I'll start with Romantics. Again, I really love this film because it felt so familiar. I was wondering what the impact of making this film was for you and that whole process, and did it change your perspective during that?
I can go first if you want, Jamie. Yeah, I think so. I grew up in Vancouver, and the neighborhood that I grew up in was predominantly Caucasian. And I think without really knowing it, I kind of grew up feeling like a lack, or I was trying to figure out what I was lacking in terms of like cultural idealism and intimacy. And yeah, I think making this film or writing this film, first of all, really gave me a chance to kind of question my own values and like perspective of what I idealized and what I found as valuable, and like the way that I looked at my parents as like not being progressive enough, but kind of realizing through that, like, oh, what do I think as like the end goal, or what is ideal? And so yeah, I think making it was really a blessing to me to be able to kind of reevaluate what matters. And yeah.
Yeah, same for me. We shot this about a year ago, and we were still in the middle of the pandemic, as we still kind of are, but we had a really small crew on it, and it was kind of like a stepping stone for a lot of us in terms of the creative department heads. And it was kind of a good exercise for us to kind of shoot something during the pandemic and to do a story that I felt was so relatable. I've had some family and friends watch this at previous festivals, and they would message me and tell me, oh, I really related to the film. And a lot of my family, a lot of them have nothing to do with film. They don't really understand it. And being the only person in my family doing film, to have them reach out and say that they connected with it was really impactful for me.
That's really cool. I was kind of wondering what your family, particularly your parents' reactions were about the topic.
Well, my parents were a little skeptical because they were like, is this just a giant roasting of us as people? But yeah, they're very supportive in my creative endeavors. And so they were really, really thrilled. Particularly, I think my dad took it a little too. He was like, I inspired this. This is all my credit. So, but yeah, they really appreciated it. And I think it opened a conversation about, our family's like lack of intimacy in general, whether that's cultural, generational. Yeah, they enjoyed it.
Yeah, my parents too. But when my mom saw the scene where the mom is snoring on the couch, she was like, was that little me? Did you do that? And she kind of got a bit mad, but it's okay. Overall.
That's great. Okay, let's move on to Mother, a visual poem. This was a really beautiful storyline, both like with the writing and visuals. And while it's definitely a really universal story, I was wondering, Anthony, specifically, what was your inspiration for creating this film that's through the lens of a mother and a daughter?
Well, this film is, I kind of, when I write, I kind of think of what if. So this is basically, what if my mom got sick and I had to come back home and take care of her? So I think I started with that seed and then kind of developed it into what I would think. So in the film, the mother gets or has Alzheimer's. My mom doesn't have Alzheimer's, but I thought that was a good connection to the journaling that the daughter does. So memories and like trying to preserve memories. Yeah, so I think that was just the inspiration and kind of just my mother. My mother's getting older, so I kind of wanted to make a film about my mother and kind of, I guess, solidify it into film.
Has your mother seen it?
Yeah, my mother has seen it, and I kind of avoid talking to her about it because it's like so personal. But I talked to her about it today, and I told her that I was going on to this Q&A, and she was super excited about it. So yeah, she's seen it. I think she knows it's about her. At least my immediate family definitely knows it's about her, but I haven't really said anything specifically to her about it.
This is more a question for both of you, but I was wondering if you could talk about the process of like putting that like poem into a visual format, and like that collaboration.
Yeah, me and Ileana, because we both are from the East Coast and we both move out to the West Coast to do film. So we always miss our family and we always try to go back home and see them as much as possible. So when working on this project, we kind of talked a lot about that. But Ileana, do you want to talk about more like the process of working on this?
Yeah, I mean, me and Anthony like both met on a set, and actually we were doing completely different roles than the roles of like DP and director on this project. And we bonded a lot through just like talking about moving away from home, like right after college, and being very close with your family, but having to be across the country from them to be able to, do the things that they raised you to have the confidence to do, and stuff like that. And so we bonded over it being like that kind of like tough experience. And so when we talked about like these little snippets of time with the visual poem, is very much like, these moments that you think of when you miss your family are, those small moments. They're not even like huge life-changing moments. They're, your mom making food for you, sitting at the table with your mom, things like that. Just like those very like small but intimate moments that mean so much more than, a big dinner or a big get together and stuff like that. So it's very much like finding vignettes of time that really resonated with us whenever we, go back home to visit family.
Yeah, you did a really beautiful job of capturing that, and you really get that feeling across in the film. Awesome. Okay. This next question, it's for distant cousins. I thought this film does a really beautiful job of capturing also this feeling of holding on to memory when that's all you have through weaving past and present together. I was wondering if you could talk about the process for creating that feeling in your film through, like, I guess the whole process, through the writing, through the acting, and through the production. Maybe we could start with Shelly. Oh, sorry. Got timing.
Sorry, I just got distracted. Could you repeat that?
Yeah. So I'm really interested in how you were able to capture this feeling of holding on to memory when that's all you have, through weaving the past and the present together. And I'm interested in hearing about the process through like writing, through acting that, and through the production.
Right. I mean, I guess for myself, like I said, there was a lot that I related to just personally with the loss of family, but also, you know, my mother passed away about 10 years ago. And so I still have a lot of unresolved issues with her. So a lot of times I kind of, in order to try and figure out who I am or where I am or what I'm doing in the present moment, I think about things, you know, that you know my mother and I went through, whether it was good or bad, to try and help sort of I guess ground me or sort of help me sort of figure out my situation, just because I'm still trying to figure out my relationship with her. So just personally acting, it was just using that personal experience to sort of juggle all the unknowns and just figuring out how you feel about this important part of your life that you've lost and haven't been able to reconcile with, basically. Yeah.
Winifred, is there anything you want to add to that?
There's so much imagery in Distant Cousins because Shelley's character has unresolved feelings and trying to solve how she, in a lot of respects in her own life, lost touch. I mean, there's personal responsibility that she didn't take. You know, when you're a child, you don't take that kind of responsibility. And so the memories we got to shoot in Super 8, which was really exciting to go back to film and really capture that sort of organic imagery. And then, of course, in the story, there is dreams that her character has, and we got to really make it quite sparse and personal. And I think what's great about the film is that they're all connected to each other. I think having dreams and having memories, and then, of course, there's the magic realism where her cousins appear to her in multiple aspects. I think that was great. I think Christina also connected to the material that way.
Definitely. I mean, I will add from like a producer point of view, like we shot the film in Toronto, so we were very lucky to have access to places that were still like 70s themes or still modern. So like the church, the restaurant, the little girl's house were all within the same area of the city. So yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning, I fully thought that it was someone's old footage. It looks so realistic. Okay. Let's see. And then for Nine, I was really interested in this film because you were able to tackle a really big topic, this topic kind of like generational gaps and divides within and between Asian American communities and sort of the trauma that that's rooted in. And it was all in a film that only really had one line out loud. I was wondering if you could talk about the process of just like telling that story through animation.
Minori, do you want to start?
Well, we made this as an animation program at school. So it was set stone that we have to make it in animation. But yeah, we really wanted to use two media, 2D and 3D, to separate the past and present time. And we thought that the 3D will resonate us like closer as an actual human being as us. And then whereas the 2D media for the past, and it's to show more traumatic experience that the main character had. So, and Shishi, do you want to add more about how we made the story?
Yeah, I think like definitely there was a lot of back and forth, but Minori and I kind of just wanted to find a safe spot where we can relate to both parties, for both Japanese and for Chinese immigrants, as well as Chinese, I guess, for second generation or so forth. And I think that it was definitely like a piece of everyone's minds. And for me personally, it was my grandma escaped to Taiwan from China during the time period. So it was kind of like a memorial in a way, but definitely it was just like a lot of communication on both ends of how to bring both cultures together.
Yeah, I think it was really cool to have, or it was so like important to have both of those perspectives in that film. So I think you did a great job with that. And then let's go on to Evie. I was wondering how much of this film, you've like talked about this a little bit, how much of this film is based on your real life and your real relationships, and kind of what it was like to be filming with family also.
Yeah, I had done acting and modeling for years, and then I was pregnant with Sky 11 years ago. She's 11. And when I went into my agency, they said, "Oh, well, can we represent your daughter?" I said, "Well, she's not even born yet." And so as soon as she was born, she auditioned for a job, and she basically started booking all of the auditions that I went out on because they asked for her. And so my career took a back burner for Sky. So that was very real as part of my real life. And then also when I grew up in the Philippines as a little kid, my mother kind of did what I do in Evie, where she looked after her mom, and then she also looked after me and put her engineering career on the back burner because, you know, in the Philippines, everybody lives with everybody. There's like, everybody's related. So yeah, I don't know how it was for you, Sky, working with your mom, but I don't know if you have something you want to say.
It was really nice. Yeah, there's not much I actually need to say. You've said most of it, but yeah, it was really nice working with you as my mom and seeing the relationships.
Yeah, we had fun with the Chinese actress Cici Lau. She was very much, I showed it to my mother's side of the family, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it reminds me of your mom." So that was great that I found an actress who had the essence of my mom, who was, so it was a bit of an homage to her.
Yeah, she was great. Okay, let's see. We're at about 10 minutes left. So since we're kind of nearing the end, I think maybe we can wrap things up by going around the room so that everyone has a chance to maybe talk about what they're currently working on and any upcoming projects. Let's maybe start with romantics and Jamie.
I've been writing. I'm kind of working on developing a pilot right now, and I just finished submitting it to this program to hopefully get development funding. And it just follows a young woman trying to become a death doula in spite of her superstitious mother objecting to that. Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Thanks.
All right. And Jackie?
I'm primarily an actress, so I've just been auditioning for a bunch of stuff, so not a lot of time to develop, but I have been writing this one short that's kind of concentrated on the death and strengthening of relationships through COVID and how that has affected especially people in their early 20s. Yeah.
Let's hear it. And then let's go on to Mother, a visual poem. Let's start with Anthony.
Yeah, so I actually have another visual poem that's coming out today or tomorrow, and that's like a breakup story. So very similarly shot to Mother. And then Ileana and me just shot another visual poem last week about being free and like getting away from society and just kind of driving off on your own and listening to music. So I think that one will come out probably in a month or so. So yeah, just visual poems and keep on writing other stuff.
Really cool. Are we able to find those anywhere?
Yeah, just mostly I'm just Anthony Nguyen on like YouTube, Instagram. Those are the two biggest ones. So just my name, and then you pretty easily find me in my Instagram and stuff.
Really cool. Eliana, what about you?
I've been working on a lot of like docu-series type stuff, which has been really fun to hear people's stories. Just people are fascinating. And then I'm also currently prepping a queer sci-fi short that will shoot next month. So just exciting stuff all around.
Cool. What's the premise of the queer sci-fi short?
The queer sci-fi is there's these two women and they're stuck in a time loop. And it turns out that it's actually a memory, and one of the women died and they never got to be together when they were alive. So it's actually them like kind of like reconciling their love through this memory that they keep coming back to. But yeah, just really, really cool ideas. So
yeah, that sounds really interesting. Okay, how about Distant Cousins? Winifred, what you got going next?
I'm in post-production on the second season of my web series Tokens. It's going to come out hopefully in May. And I'm also writing the feature version of Distant Cousins.
Oh, wow. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. What's the process of turning it into a feature?
Well, I think the premise of Distant Cousins is perfectly short, but at the same time, there's so many characters to build out from. And I think I'll continue to have the two time frames, but really working on their relationships and how they got to the point of Distant Cousins in the short.
Right. Yeah, that would be really interesting. Can't wait to see you back here with it. Christina, what about you?
I've actually moved into producing longer format projects. So right now I'm doing my first feature film.
Oh, cool. What's that about?
Can't really say. It's kind of in the works. We're in the development financing stage, but I'm very excited about it. And it's all for and by the BIPOC community.
Awesome. And Shelly, what about you?
So I'm just in post-production for a short film that I wrote, directed, and starred in. And so maybe I'll be at Disorient next year.
Yeah.
And I'm also hoping to turn that into a feature down the road.
Cool. Are you able to say what that one's about?
Well, the short is about a Korean woman who was abandoned by her mother when she was a young child. And so she goes to find her mother, who's a Korean shaman, and then it reveals why her mother had actually abandoned her. I can't say why.
It's a surprise. We'll have to watch.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to Evie.
So I have 3 projects, but the one I have in pre-production right now is a TV pilot, and it's about criminal aliens. So Sky and I come to the planet Earth as criminal aliens, and we have to serve jail time on Earth and learn how to have empathy and understand love. So except on the planets, Sky was my father and I was her son. And so, but we come in these earthling bodies. And so it's a bit of a social commentary. It's set in 2020 and it's COVID, and it's a social commentary on gender and people's beliefs and all kinds of stuff. And because we're aliens, it's just all new, and there's no preconceived notions. So that's fun. It's a comedy, obviously.
That sounds awesome. Can't wait to see it. And Sky, it sounds like you're working on something right now.
Oh yeah, I'm working on this TV show called Doom Patrol.
Awesome. Really cool. And you're filming for that right now? That's great. Okay. And then for Nai.
Well, after making Nai, I and Shushu and I have been busy with work, so we haven't really started on anything new, but we had some ideas, so definitely want to group together and make something new, and we'll definitely apply for another festivals. Yeah.
Awesome. Look forward to seeing you. Okay, Well, it's really great to hear about all of the really cool stuff you're all working on. There's such a range and so much talent. I want to say a big thank you to all of these incredibly talented filmmakers for taking this time to chat with Asorian about their films. Getting to hear from you all is really one of my favorite parts of this film festival. It adds so much to the experience, and getting to hear about not only you share your films, but also share the stories behind them. It's really meaningful. If you've watched these films, make sure to vote for your favorite for the Audience Choice Awards. If you haven't, just do it. They're great. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of the festival.